everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. You wanted to understand how to stop being afraid of the world, and you sent over this YouTube video called How to Stop Being Afraid of the World from the channel The Psych. We're going to break down the key insights. Hopefully by the end, you'll have some takeaways to fear less and live more boldly.
The video starts off with a really interesting point. It kind of reframes how we think about fear. Like fear, you see, isn't always a bad thing. Often it's just our brain's way of reacting to uncertainty. We humans, we have this ancient part of our brains called the amygdala, and it's wired to protect us from danger. But the catch is that our dangers today would vary different for the dangers that our ancestors faced.
Yeah, that's true. Our brains are kind of still stuck in saber-toothed tiger mode. The video even quotes Seneca, that Stoic philosopher. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality."
And he was so right. We tend to fall into this trap of what they call catastrophizing. We spin these worst-case scenarios in our heads, and they can feel just as real and as threatening as actual physical danger. Social rejection, financial worries, fear of failing, these anxieties can really take over, even if they're mostly playing out in our mind.
Okay, so fear is often based on how we perceive things, not necessarily reality. But the video doesn't stop there. It goes on to suggest that fear can actually be a teacher, not something we need to conquer.
That's interesting. We often try to push fear away.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something to be learned from leaning into it.
That resonates with me. I used to be terrified of public speaking, seriously petrified. But I had this big presentation for this huge project at work. And there was just no way around it. I was a nervous wreck. But I got through it. And you know what? I even messed up a little, but the world didn't end. I actually got some really helpful feedback. And I realized that my fear was way bigger than the actual event.
Your story perfectly highlights a key point that the video makes. The physical response to fear is surprisingly similar to excitement. Think about it. Heart racing, sweaty palms, a little shake. Those sensations could be fear or excitement. What if, instead of labeling it as terror, we told ourselves we were excited?
Oh, I love that reframing. And the video takes it even further by emphasizing action as the antidote to fear. It reminds me of exposure therapy, facing your fears head on can actually diminish their power.
Absolutely. The video uses this helpful visual, the comfort, growth, and panic zones. We'd all have a comfort zone where things are familiar, but real growth, that happens outside that comfort zone. It's about taking calculated risks, pushing your boundaries a little at a time.
This idea of pushing boundaries is fascinating, but I'll admit it also brings up some anxieties, where's that sweet spot between comfort and growth?
That's a great question. And the video offers some practical strategies for navigating that. One that stands out is Tim Ferriss's fear setting technique. It's about confronting your anxieties instead of avoiding them. So you write down your fears, those worst case scenarios, and then, this is crucial, what you could do to prevent or handle those situations.
So fear setting is like shining a light on your fears, taking away their power by planning for them.
Exactly. It's about taking control. And this ties into another important point that the video raises. The stories we tell ourselves. If you're constantly thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to fail, those thoughts can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
It's all about changing the narrative. But how do we actually do that? It sounds easier said than done.
That's where understanding a bit about cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, comes in. CBT helps you challenge those distorted thinking patterns and rewrite those negative scripts. For instance, instead of thinking people will judge me if I speak up, you can shift it to, I have valuable ideas to share.
That makes so much sense. It's about recognizing those negative thoughts and replacing them with more empowering ones. It seems like a powerful tool for overcoming those everyday fears that can hold us back.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial point of the video, the role of community in overcoming fear. When we open up and share our vulnerabilities with others, those fears can start to lose their grip.
Thinking about that, I'm reminded of the incredible courage of Rosa Parks. That day when she refused to give up her seat, I doubt she was fearless, but her courage stemmed from something bigger than her fear. She had the strength of her and a profound belief in justice.
That's a powerful example. It highlights how we can find courage by connecting to something greater than ourselves, something we're passionate about.
And it's not just about grand acts of courage, right? The video also talks about how small, everyday acts of bravery can build our confidence over time. What stands out to you about that idea?
Well, what's fascinating is that those small acts, those seemingly insignificant moments of choosing courage over comfort, can have a ripple effect. They create a positive feedback loop, proving to ourselves that we can handle challenges and building our resilience for bigger fears.
That's such a great point. It's like building a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it gets. Now, the video also brings up a powerful practice for dealing with fear. That I'm personally a big fan of. Mindfulness.
Yeah, it's an incredibly valuable tool. The video talks about how mindfulness helps us observe our fears without judgment, simply noticing them as sensations in our bodies and thoughts in our minds.
It's about creating space between us and our fears, rather than getting swept away by them.
Exactly. Would you be open to trying a quick mindfulness exercise right now?
Absolutely. I'm always up for a little mindfulness practice.
Great. Let's guide our listener through this together. Take a moment to pause. And if you notice any fear, simply name it silently to yourself. This is fear. Then just observe where you feel it in your body. Maybe tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or tension in your shoulders. Just notice it without trying to change it.
It's amazing how simply acknowledging fear in this way can take away some of its intensity. And the video actually connects this to neuroscience, explaining how mindfulness can change how our brains respond to fear.
Yeah, research shows that mindfulness practices can reduce activity in the amygdala, the fear center of the brain.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it can strengthen the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in rational thinking and regulating emotions.
So mindfulness is like giving our brains a workout, helping us become less reactive to fear and more in control of our responses.
Precisely. It's empowering ourselves to choose how we respond to fear, rather than letting it control us. Now, the video takes a really interesting turn here. It shifts from seeing fear as something to conquer to seeing it as a potential guide.
That's a fascinating concept. I'm really intrigued to hear more about that.
Welcome back. So as we delve deeper into this idea of fear as a guide, the video challenges us to shift from simply managing fear to actually embracing it, like recognizing it as a fundamental part of the human experience.
That sounds like a pretty radical idea. Embracing fear. It seems a bit counterintuitive, but I'm ready to explore you.
Yeah, it's a profound shift in perspective for sure. They use this really powerful image in the video. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of this vast ocean, and the waves, they represent your fears. Some are small and gentle, while others are towering and fierce. And they say that most people spend their lives trying to avoid the waves altogether, terrified of being pulled under.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that feeling of wanting to stay safe on the shore, away from the crashing waves. I think we've all felt that pull to avoid the things that scare us.
Absolutely. But the video argues that true freedom comes when you realize you're not separate from the ocean. You're a part of it. The waves may rise and crash, but they can't drown you because you've learned to swim. And this is the essence of their message. Fear isn't this external force to battle, but an internal current to navigate.
So it's like fear is woven into the fabric of life, like those ocean waves constantly ebbing and flowing. We can't control the wave, but we can learn to ride.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And they bring in this beautiful quote from Rumi, the Sufi poet. He says, "Don't move the way fear makes you move. Move the way love makes you move." And it suggests that when we shift our motivation from fear to love, from avoidance to engagement, our whole relationship with fear transforms.
That really resonates with me. It's like instead of letting fear dictate our choices, we can choose to act from a place of love, courage, and a desire to live more fully. That feels so much more empowering.
It is empowering. And the video goes on to suggest that fear can actually be a signal, an invitation to look deeper within ourselves, to question our assumptions, and to explore those uncharted territories of our being. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this fear? Maybe we should be asking, what is this fear trying to teach me about myself?
That reminds me of what we were talking about earlier. Fear often stems from uncertainty. So maybe by leaning into that fear, by exploring it with curiosity, we can start to understand the root of that uncertainty and find ways to address it.
Exactly. The video suggests that fear might be pointing us towards a dream we've buried, or a truth we've ignored, or a part of ourselves we've yet to fully embrace. They use this powerful example, the story of Malala Yousafzai, who faced unimaginable fear in her fight for girls' education.
Yeah, Malala is such an inspiration. She refused to let fear paralyze her, and she transformed it into a force for good.
Precisely. She didn't eliminate her fear. She harnessed its energy and channeled it into something incredibly meaningful. Her story, as the video points out, is a perfect example of the alchemy of turning fear into purpose.
So instead of trying to get rid of fear, we can ask ourselves, how can I use this energy to fuel my growth, to move me in the direction of my values and goals? That's a game changer.
It really is. Now, the video offers some practical steps for working with fear in this way. The first step is to simply acknowledge your fear without judgment. Just naming it, "this is fear," can help you gain a sense of power over it.
That goes back to what we were saying about mindfulness. Just noticing the fear without getting swept away by it.
You got it. They even suggest a subtle but important shift in language. Instead of saying, "I am afraid," try saying, "I notice fear is present." This subtle change reminds you that fear is an experience you're having, not your identity.
It's like taking a step back and observing the fear, rather than merging with it and letting it define you.
Exactly. The next step they suggest is to breathe through the fear. Conscious breathing can be incredibly powerful. It calms your body and mind, activating the parasympathetic nervous, which is like hitting the relax button for your nervous system.
Such a simple yet powerful tool. I know from my own experience how a few deep breaths can really shift my state when I'm feeling anxious.
Absolutely. It's a great technique to have your fear-fighting toolkit. The third step the video offers is to reframe your narrative. Now, fear often tells stories of limitation and negativity. Challenge those stories. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," try saying, "This is difficult, but I'm capable of learning and growing." Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" Ask yourself, what if I succeed? What if this challenge leads to incredible growth and opportunities?
It's like choosing to focus on the possibilities, rather than letting fear trap us in a cycle of negativity and self-doubt.
You're catching on quickly. And remember, your words have power. They shape your reality. The fourth step they suggest is to take action, no matter how small. Fear thrives on inertia, but action is its kryptonite. And action doesn't have to be some grand, sweeping gesture. It could be making that phone call you've been putting off, or speaking up in a meeting, or simply trying something new and stepping outside your comfort zone.
It's about proving to ourselves that we can handle things, even if they feel a little scary at first. Those small wins can build momentum and boost our confidence.
Exactly. And finally, the video encourages us to cultivate a practice of gratitude. Fear tends to fixate on what could go wrong. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts your attention to all the good that's already present in your life.
That's such a powerful reminder. It's like an antidote to fear, reminding us of all the good things we often take for granted.
It is. Each day, try to find things to be grateful for, no matter how small they may seem. It could be a sunny day, a delicious meal, a kind word from a friend, or simply the fact that you woke up healthy and breathing. These small moments of gratitude can shift your whole perspective. Now, beyond all these strategies, the video emphasizes a deeply reassuring truth. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling fear. It means you're alive, engaged with life, standing at the edge of growth and possibility.
I love that. It's like a permission slip to be human, to acknowledge that fear is a natural part of the human experience, not a sign of weakness or deficiency.
Precisely. And they go on to say that fear can actually be a sign that you care deeply, that you're on the brink of something truly meaningful. It's an indication that you're stretching yourself, pushing beyond your comfort zone, and reaching for something more.
So fear can be a signpost, guiding us towards our dreams and aspirations. That's a powerful reframing.
It is. Now, the video ends with a powerful invitation. They want you to ask yourself, what would my life look like if I no longer let fear make my decisions? Imagine the places you'd go, the dreams you'd chase, the person you'd become if fear wasn't holding you back.
It's an incredible question to contemplate. What would we be capable of if we could truly release the grip and live from a place of courage, love, and possibility?
That's the question they leave us with. And they offer one final profound insight. The life you seek isn't waiting for you on the other side of your fear. It's waiting for you through it. The path isn't around fear. It's through it, step by courageous step.
That sends chills down my spine. We don't need to conquer our fears to live the lives we dream of. We can learn to walk with them, to dance with them even, and let them guide us towards our fullest potential.
Beautifully said. The video wraps up by reminding us that the world isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced, explored, and lived full.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground so far in our deep dive. I'm feeling incredibly inspired by everything we've discussed. It's definitely given me a whole new perspective on fear, not as something to avoid, but as a potential source of growth and transformation. Welcome back to our deep dive. Remember that question the video posed. What would my life look like if I no longer let fear make my decisions?
Yeah, really makes you think. And right after that question, they hit us with this incredibly profound statement, almost like a secret revealed at the very end. They said, the life you seek isn't waiting beyond your fear, it's waiting through it.
That line has really stuck with me. It's so simple, yet it completely reframes how we think about fear.
Yeah, it challenges that common idea that we need to conquer or eliminate fear to reach our full potential. Instead, it suggests that the path to the life we desire, the path to real growth, might actually lie through those very fears we've been trying to avoid.
It's like fear isn't the obstacle, but the gate. Like it's a signpost pointing us in the direction we need to go, even if that direction feels uncomfortable or uncertain.
Exactly. And the video ends with this really inspiring call to action. They repeat that question. If not now, when? It's not you, who? It's like a nudge to stop waiting for the perfect moment and to stop letting fear hold us back from living our lives to the fullest.
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose courage over fear, to step into the unknown, even if it feels a little scary. And they also say something so empowering. You have everything you need within you. Go live boldly.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
They're reminding us that we aren't lacking anything. We already have the strength, the resilience, the resourcefulness to face our fears and create the lives we desire. We just need to tap into that inner power.
You know, as we've been going through this video together, I've realized it's not just about the fear of those big life-altering events. It's also about those everyday fears that can hold us back in so many subtle ways. The fear of speaking up, the fear of trying something new, the fear of being judged or rejected.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those everyday fears can be just as debilitating as the big ones, if not more so. They're constantly present, chipping away at our confidence and preventing us from fully experiencing the present moment.
For sure. But the beauty of this video is that it gives us a framework for dealing with all kinds of fears. whether they're big or small, life-altering, or just those nagging anxieties that keep us playing small.
I completely agree. It reminds us that courage isn't something we're born with. It's a muscle we build through practice. Every time we face a fear, every time we choose courage over comfort, we strengthen that muscle and become more resilient.
And that's what makes this video so inspiring. It doesn't just tell us to be fearless. It gives us practical tools and strategies we can use to navigate fear, to transform it from an obstacle into a catalyst for growth and a more fulfilling life.
You've hit the nail on the head. What has really stuck with me is that final thought. The world isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced, explored, and lived fully.
What a perfect note to end on. It's a reminder that life is an adventure. And even though fear may be part of the journey, it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat. We can choose to step into the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, and live with courage, curiosity, and wonder.
No said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.